All right, what's up? Welcome into week 2 of the DFS Edge Report. I'm your host, Dr. DFS, joined as always by my boy Hardy. What's up, Hardy?
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Not too much, buddy. How you doing?
Good. You?
Living, baby, living. Fresh
That's
out
right.
of the hospital. Had some medical issues this week. Had the
Didn't even talk about that one, did we?
No, man, you didn't know? Damn, I've been talking to you all week. I didn't tell you that. Yeah, right after our last show, I developed a wicked facial issue with my sinus infections. So I had to go be treated for that. So,
Nice.
but we're good now, man. So I will blame that on my poor showing last week because it was not a good week 1 for your boy. How'd you do?
Did pretty good. Did pretty good. I've about 6-7x my money. Almost had some pretty good takedowns, but made some errors. So, hey, back at it this week, right?
Yes. Mistakes were definitely made, mostly on my part. Glad to hear you did so well, though. Yeah, it was not good, man. I just was so close on everything. Mostly my cash stuff. GPPs were all in the green. They saved me. Without that, I would have lost. It would have been a massive red line week for me. So, but anyway, we'll go over some of those mistakes we made from week 1. I also have a new sheet I want to show off for our StadiumRant followers. I'm going to go ahead and put it up on screen here. Let's see. This is what I like to call the Fantasy Rant Impact Index cheat sheet. Okay, so this is going to be basically this sheet that I've got highlighted. You can see the label down at the bottom here that says cheat sheet. This is the kind of the rundown. I've picked out my 5 favorite quarterbacks, 10 favorite running backs, 10 favorite wide receivers, and I'm not quite done with tight ends yet. But I'll drop this link again in the comments, and you can get it in any of the articles. But the other tabs here: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. These all are basically all the stats you'll ever need, all the research you'll ever need to put together a good idea of who are good plays here this week. And then the cheat sheet is just me sort of breaking all that into a small, easy to reference sheet for you. So anyway, that's what that is. So before we jump into week 1, Steve, week 2, let's go over a little bit about what we the swings and misses from week 1 and where we may want to not overreact for week 2.
I'm just going to stick to my misses. I had a few big ones last week. I completely underestimated the Steelers-Jets game last week. I thought it was going to be a dud. It clearly wasn't a dud. I think the perfect lineup last week would have been in Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson. I mean, it's really all you needed last week. So I definitely got that one wrong. So I'm going to keep an eye on those two teams as week 2 goes along. I also missed big on the Lions-Packers. I mean, that was a disaster of a game for fantasy-wise. And everybody knows this. Like Jordan Love, he's not really that fantasy quarterback we need in DFS. He's fine for season long and all that. But again, something else I'll keep an eye on. I was completely wrong on Kenny Walker. Like I couldn't have been more wrong on Kenny Walker last week. Luckily I didn't play a whole lot of him. my Sims just wouldn't let him go in there. I was also wrong on Nico Collins. But here's the thing on Nico Collins. I had him in 35% of my GPP builds last week, and I still 7x my money. So you can get a miss here, a miss there, and you'll be fine. And then I was completely wrong on CMC last week, but I think
a lot of us were.
Both were on that.
Yeah. Okay. So a little bit to unpack there. First of all, Jets Steelers. I think it's worth pointing out the fantasy impact index was telling us to play Justin Fields last week. And I just thought, okay, it's just reading last year's data too much.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it, and I faded it, and a lot of people did. Justin Fields was not owned last week, so that's why if you did have him, you probably printed some money. I played a little bit of them. I think I had him in like maybe 6-7% of my lineups. Looking back at it, I wish I'd have played him in 30 to 40% of my lineups because we definitely missed that. CMC, we can't be too hard on ourselves. I think that a lot of people didn't know how to handle that. He was hurt. He was questionable going into the game. And then all he did was touch the ball 31 times. So
yeah.
That's the other thing. We can't trust that douchebag Shanahan. All he does is BS those injury reports. So it's hard for me to get a good read on that one again this week. Yeah, Kenny Walker. I'm glad to hear you didn't play much of him because after the show, you had convinced me I really go hard on Kenny Walker. So he was a staple in a lot of my lineups.
Sorry about that one.
That didn't really work out for us. And then Nico Collins. I don't know what's going to happen there, but we missed out on that. But the good thing that saved us is that we weren't the only ones that made that mistake. He was very highly owned, like you alluded to. I think he was in a lot of the cash lineups I played against too, and so it just was one of those things where being wrong about it didn't kill us. So
we did get ETN right last week, though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. ETN was a great call. There was a couple good calls too. I don't really recall them all. Oh, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was maybe as far as quarterbacks go, the index was telling us to play Danny Jones and Justin Fields, and I was a little apprehensive about Justin Fields, but man, I loaded up on Danny Jones. I had probably 45 to 50% of Daniel Jones in my GPP lineups. That's what carried me over the top and helped me make all the cash game money back, because I played a lot of Trevor Lawrence in those cash games, and he was high owned, so I don't think that was necessarily the thing that killed me. Roster construction around that sort of beat me up a little bit on DK especially, but yeah, I think to build on top of that a little bit before we get into week 2. I think it's important that we don't overreact too much to some of the things that we got wrong in week 1. Chase Brown was sort of a letdown in week 1. Nico Collins sort of a letdown in week 1. Kenny Walker sort of a letdown in week 1. I think that sometimes in week 1, we just have we were talking about it before the show. You got you're game planning for your opponent for a couple of months a lot of times. So it's easy to understand why some of these games go under and the playmakers are taken out of the games in week 1. I don't expect that to continue. So sort of wipe it fresh and go into week 2, not reading too much into some of the more surprising aspects of week 1, if we could say it that way. So outside of that, man, so what do you think, just before we dive in, from a overview, a 30,000 foot overview of the slate, what are you kind of thinking? Initial thoughts for week 2?
I don't think it's going to be as easy as week 1. I'm not saying week 1 was super easy, but I'm seeing a lot of problems with this slate. I see a lot of value at wide receiver. I'm seeing a lot of value at running back. So a lot of times when I'm building fantasy lineups, I'm trying to build better lineups than my competitors, plain and simple. I mean, I know it's easy to say that. So I try to figure out how they're going to build. And I think a lot of them are going to take that value running back, that value wide receivers, and they're going to spin way up at quarterback. I think we can get a little bit of leverage this week, Chris, if we can just pay down just a little bit at quarterback. I'm not saying go down to the bottom of the barrel, but if we can find some guys in those mid-6 ranges, I think we can build some solid lineups. And one other thing for this weekend, I kind of like using tight ends tied to some of my running backs this week. I think
little skinny stacks.
Little skinny stacks there. It doesn't work all the time, and you can't use it for everybody. Like, you're not going to use Chase Brown and Gesicki together. That's just Gesicki just isn't going to get that kind of volume. But if I'm going to have some James Conner lineups this week, I like some Trey McBride tagged with him and players like that. But that's kind of how I'm seeing this slate.
Yeah, I used to that's one stack that's always been in my secondary repertoire, the running back tight end stack. I do like to try to get some of that. They seem to correlate nicely together. We talked a little bit about this before the season, and I don't know, maybe we're the last dum-dums to be doing this still, but I think we sort of decided this year we would not make it a priority to try to do the defense running back correlation. Is that still kind of what you're thinking for week 2?
Yeah,
throughout the season.
Stats, the stats on it were you got such a small edge by doing that. It wasn't even worth it. It's not the NFL of 10, 15 years ago, so that correlation doesn't really work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even going to do it at all. I'm not going to prevent it from happening like in my GPP builds, but I'm not going to try to boost it like I used to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. I noticed from the there's some games here that I was super excited to see on the slate, and then just looking at some of these totals, some of these spreads rather, it's just man, it's tough to get excited about some of them now. But that Ravens Brown game is one that I'm a little bummed out. It's such a huge spread. So trying to also determine if some of these have a chance to go over. I know we talked a little bit about that. Games like that late 4:00 game, Chiefs, Eagles, maybe the Broncos, Colts. These are all, and we'll get into it when we go through each game. But some of these pace of play indicates we might see a little higher scores than what Vegas is projecting here. So, but anyway, let's just dive right in, man. So, I guess we'll start with the aforementioned Cleveland Browns at Baltimore Ravens. We've got the total is 45 points. We've got the Ravens implied for 28.25, and the Browns implied for 16.75. I don't know how I feel about this game on the whole, but I think we both love Derrick Henry here. So I will say my immediate top plays here. Well, let me just bring up the index here real quick. Is there anything here? Obviously I love Derrick Henry. Got him as one of my top 10 running backs. I've got Lamar Jackson as one of my top 5 quarterbacks. These are all kind of the obvious plays here. But breaking it down into a GPP perspective, what do you like, Steve?
When it comes to Derrick Henry, I like him for FanDuel tomorrow, to be honest with you. Majority of what we play is on DraftKings. It's such a large spread, though. I'm just worried about this game. The Ravens not really having to shoot out. There's nothing wrong with Lamar. He checks almost every box tomorrow. It's just that spread that kind of scares me a little bit. So I'll use Derrick Henry over on FanDuel. And on DK, I'm probably just going to mess with the Ravens defense, but I'm not going to force it because they're pretty expensive. And you know what? A lot of people are going to go Harold Fan Jr. Is that how we say his name?
Mm-hmm.
Because he had a good performance for a rookie last year, and he's probably going to he's going to be in a lot of cash games tomorrow, I think. So with that said, I'd like to get a little bit of David Njoku because that's kind of how we do these things over the years. Everybody pivots. Everybody was on David Njoku last week. Everybody missed out on Fanning.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to play Fannin this week. So let's fire up a little David Njoku. I'm not saying I'm going to hit 10% of my builds with him, but I'm going to keep him in the player pool.
Yeah, I like all of that. Trying to find David Njoku in my here we go. Okay. So
it's a good matchup for tight ends against the Browns. I mean, against the Ravens. My bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like everything he said. I think we've seen this story play out in years past. Now, this may be a little narrative as I was thinking about it. I said to you before the show that with an 11, 12-point spread, we might not see much of Lamar Jackson in the second half of this game. Not that he won't be in the game, but he just won't have to do much. We're not going to be seeing him running around so much. And that's sort of what we need out of Lamar Jackson, especially at his price. I don't know. Under this offense now for a few years, I mean, Jackson's been a consistent fantasy point scorer. So I don't know that. Yeah, I mean, this spread sort of makes it seem like we won't need to see much of the Ravens offense in the second half, but I guess it's possible. It's just the problem for me is at this price point, man. I mean, you look at him on DK 7,000, on FanDuel he's 8,500. I mean, we need 30 points from him on DK, and we probably need 35, 36 from him on FanDuel. And it just seems like, if we look over here, what I say, 28 and a quarter was there. Yeah, 28 points. I just don't know that Lamar has to do too much to get there. This is probably a Derrick Henry type of situation. So the other side of that is Derrick Henry is massively owned on on FanDuel.
FanDuel, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're playing on FanDuel, I mean, you have a decision to make. And I think that decision is it doesn't do you any good to match the field on with a guy like Henry, right? I mean, that's my opinion. I don't think it does any good to just try to do what the field does. Either you're taking a stand on him, he's going to be in none of your lineups, or he's going to be in 40 to 50% of your lineups. Because if he hits home runs, you want to be able to have more than the rest of the field. So I think you're either loading up on Henry tomorrow or you're taking a stand and fading him. On DK, I'm probably not going to prioritize him. On FanDuel, I'm probably going to try to get 40 to 50% of them. I like somebody else on the other side of the ball. I mean, I definitely like Fannin. I think I like him more than Njoku. So, yeah. And that was kind of the narrative last week that he's the better tight end, and I think we saw it play out. So I don't know if I'm in a rush to get back to Njoku. And I've been an Njoku truther for the past few years, but I like Jerry Jeudy. I think he's a solid run back tomorrow. You look at Jeudy, I got him highlighted here: 5,300 on DK, 6,100 on FanDuel. He's got decent projections. We're looking at these props. He's projecting well across the board with his props. His ownership's low. It just seems like it's setting up to be a good spot for him. They're big time underdogs. This just screams garbage yard catch up situation for me. So I like Jeudy in that one.
I would just add one other thing. Like when I'm building lineups, I'm building mainly for GPP. So when I look at the Ravens and the Browns, I absolutely see Lamar possibly hitting that 30 mark by halftime. I just don't see nobody in Cleveland that he's going to have a run back for. And I really focus on game stacking a little bit more than just trying to find individual plays from each team. It just seems to work out better for me that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I think I agree with your game stack ideas here. I'm probably just gonna play Henry, maybe the Ravens defense, and possibly run it back with the Jerry Jeudy. it's just so tough to say. You don't want to get a lot of pieces of the. This is what's
It's
the
the highest
over
team
under here?
total. It's
Is
the
it the
highest team
highest?
total.
Yeah, it's 40. Well, it's the Ravens got the highest team total. Right, right, right. It's not the highest game total. That's always a tough thing, man. I think we just need to figure out where the top score for the Ravens is coming and grab
Mhm.
that. I think Henry's the guy on FanDuel and on DK. He's probably the guy too, but top scorer on the Ravens. But I just don't know if he's in play on DK with that price. Moving on, we got Jaguars at Bengals. Bengals 26.25 implied team total. Jaguars 22.75. The total is the highest on the board at 49 points. I like a lot of pieces of this game. I like the whole game. This is one of my favorite game stack situations from a just a sort of a cash game standpoint. I love Joe Burrow. I think Chase Brown's in play. Obviously, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and then on the other side of the ball, I think that I really love Brian Thomas this week, um, and that might be all the pieces I love from the Jaguars. ETN's in play. Actually, the whole Jaguars offense could be in play. This Bengals defense might be terrible, but I'm trying not to overreact to week one. They looked good. I have been saying I think they're going to be garbage, but I want to leave space for the fact that they might actually be good. So, what are you seeing here, dude?
I like this game. I like this game a lot. But with that said, GPP wise, you are not going to be able to put Joe Burrow and Chase in a lineup and expect to win anything because Burrow is going to be 12, 14% owned. But what I like about this game is you could double stack Joe. You could stack him with Chase, Higgins. You could even stack him with Brown. But what I really love is on the other side of the ball, the run backs. You can do simple run back with Brian Thomas Jr., like you said. But I really like the comeback of combining Travis Etienne and Strange together as the comeback. So almost stacking like 5 players from this team, 3 from this game, 3 from the Bengals, and then running back with 2 from the Jaguars. Because if this game goes off, all those guys are going to eat, and you're going to need all those fantasy points to rise above everybody else that just started Burrow and Chase or Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. You're going to need all the points. So this is a great game stack, but you have to do it right, or you're just going to copy everybody else's lineup, and you're going to be sitting there tied with 700 people for $1.50 each.
Yeah, I do. I think that one of the top owned stacks tomorrow is probably going to be Burrow, Higgins, Chase. If you can even make that work, that's probably pretty expensive. I don't. What's the price on Higgins?
It's easy to do.
Yeah, Higgins is 61 on DK. So you could play him, Chase, and Burrow. Yeah, because Burrow's not out of control. 6,600. So I think that's going to be a popular thing to do because there's a lot of value at running back and wide receiver. So I agree. The way we have to get different, we can play that stack. We just have to really go hard on the comeback. And I love that. I love the idea of stacking 5 pieces, having Strange and ETN running it back with Burrow, Higgins, and Chase, or whatever pieces you decide. I don't think we can play Chase Brown and Burrow in the same lineup, right? I don't like that.
No, I'm pretty sure you can. I'll pull it up real quick, but I'm almost positive you can. I gotta just look at one thing real quick. Cincinnati. So when we're looking at Chase, just from his stats last year, he had 4 targets per game. He caught on average 3.5 of them, and he had 4 receiving touchdowns last year. So you definitely can put Chase Brown in there, I think.
I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know, but I see that I guess it's viable. what's Chase's price this week? That's kind of the other thing. He was 6,800. I mean, he's more than T Higgins. I don't know. It definitely would be unique. I don't know that a lot of people will do it. Um, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one, but everything else I agree with. What's your favorite? Who's if you had you want to talk about GPP, right? I was going to ask you who your favorite play overall from this game is. If you
Oh,
have,
if I have one, I'm going to say it's probably Chase Brown. If we're talking about a cash build,
yeah, okay,
and if we're talking about GPP wise, it's probably going to be ETN again, and maybe a little Brian Thomas Jr. But
I love
only
both
as
those.
like run backs. I
Yeah,
don't want them just like solo off in other game stacks and stuff.
okay, I like that. So yeah, that's good. All right. Let's move on to the next one then. We've got the Giants coming into Jerry Land to face the Cowboys. 44.5 point game total. Cowboys are implied for 25.25. Giants 19.25. I I think initially when I looked at this game, I was surprised to see that Javonte Williams got so many carries last week. That was the first thing that surprised me. It put me on Javonte Williams for this week because if he's going to get 18, 19 touches a game and get goal line work at this price, I want a lot of it. I don't think I really love any other pieces. I'm not super high on CD Lamb. Maybe I should be. What am I missing here?
This is a tough one to be. In my opinion, it's a tough one because I feel like I see this game. Well, obviously once a year, twice a year, and you see it in Dallas. And there's been times where I say I'm not falling for it again. I'm not playing these guys in a game stack and a GPP, and they burn me. And then the next time they come up, I stack the hell out of this game, and guess what? They burn me. So
Yeah.
Dak does check a lot of boxes for GPP tomorrow. But I don't think I'm going to go there. I do like CD Lamb for a little bit of get the season kind of going at home. Going to probably catch a lot of balls. Jake Ferguson is projected to be like one of the highest owned tight ends. I guess that's probably a cash play. I do like Dallas defense tomorrow. I think that 3,000 mark's really good. And I'm with you with Javonte Williams because that price is really good. The Giants' offensive line is nothing to be scared of, and his ownership is really low. So I like Javonte Williams for GPPs tomorrow.
Yeah, a couple of the things we look for with quarterbacks, we want to play home favorites with good totals. The Cowboys have what was there 25 points? I think I said. Yeah, 25-point team total, 5.5-point favorites. They're at home. Dak's checking a lot of boxes there. I'm just a little bit, and then maybe this is a overreaction of week one. I'm just a little bit. My outlook before the season was Dak sitting on a monster fantasy season, and the Cowboys just came out looking. Dak looked a little flat. The offense as a whole maybe looked a little flat. One guy that I agree with, CeeDee Lamb, dude, he had a ton of targets last week again. I think George Pickens being in this lineup is very good for CD. I think, yeah, Pickens is going to command some targets, but I think overall it's a net positive for CeeDee Lamb, and he ate. We saw him drop some passes, though, so that's a little concerning. But I don't think I did see a stat. I think I saw he's dropped more passes than anybody in like the last 3 years by a lot. So I don't remember the exact number, but I don't know if I'm super concerned about that from a DFS standpoint. I don't know how I mean this game sort of says we should be stacking it. But I don't have Dak or CeeDee Lamb really on my radar here. Jake Ferguson is as a high owned cash game play. Um, I don't really have a lot of Giants. I just feel like this is a game that could go under that total.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same situation as the Browns and Ravens. Like I don't know. I don't think the Giants are going to push the Cowboys to go over this team total of 25 and hit that like 32 to like 38 team total that we'd almost need for Dak to pay off.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
Yep. Agreed. All right. So this is one that I might be a little higher than most people on here. Next, the Lions at home taking on the Bears. Lions, 26.5 point implied total. Bears 20. Game total is 46.5. I like a lot of pieces from this game. I will say that the impact index, I think, loves Jared Goff this week again. I think he got maybe the highest score. He was one of the highest scoring quarterbacks last week on the index, and that was a no-go. But he is back home. They need a win. They got a rebound here. They don't want to find themselves 0-2. He's checking all the boxes. Jahmyr Gibbs checking all the boxes. Pieces of this passing game checking boxes. And I think the Bears can push the Lions. This is one I'm looking at possibly maybe not going over, but I think the Bears make it a little closer than what this score is implying. What do you think?
I'm with you. I'm not going to break down the different ways the stack golf because it's pretty. There's quite a few of them. Just be sure when you can mix in Gibbs with him, and you can make you got Laporta and everything. But I like the Chicago side of this. I like Caleb Williams. I like to, but when it comes to Caleb, I'm only going to stack him with one, and it's going to be either DJ Moore or Romeo or whatever. But with the run back of Gibbs, I might even do a little Gibbs run back with a Sam Laporta because that coordinates so well. And if Chicago can push the Lions, I see this one going over. So and we're looking at like 5% ownership on Caleb Williams, and we're looking at less than 2% ownership on golf. So this is one I like. I'm going to try to attack this game tomorrow myself.
Yeah, this is one I look at and I say we maybe should be listening to the index here. It's highlighting a lot of players. It likes the Lions side, but I also happen to have a lot of interest in the Bears side too. I think what we saw last week, I think people are going to overreact. I've already seen it all over social. I thought Caleb Williams played well. I think people are jumping off the Caleb Williams train because they got beat by J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings at home. To me, Caleb Williams played maybe about as well as he's played. I've seen him play. This offense is going to take a little bit of time getting into sync. But I really think that the Bears' outlook, especially offensively, is pretty good. I like this game indoors. The Bears got a lot of quick, fast football players that kind of indoor environment boost that a little bit. I love a Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Odunze stack. Yeah, man, and I love running that back with exactly like you said with Gibbs and Laporte. I mean, that's awesome. This is a game I think I'm going to be game stacking tomorrow as well. So I'm glad to see we agree on that point.
Yeah, but I do not think you need to double stack Williams. I think you can do a single stack with him and then double stack the run back.
The run back, yeah, you're probably right. I don't think I meant to say Moore and Odunze. I think I meant to say either or is what I was getting at. But
gotcha.
Yeah. I don't have any interest in either one of these defenses, really. I guess the Lions just I don't have high hopes for that defense, and the Bears had trouble with JJ McCarthy. So I don't love either one of these defenses.
Well, I'll keep the Lions in my player pool because they are home favorite.
Cheap home defense, yeah.
Yeah. But they're not cheap on DraftKings. They're 3,200. They're more than Dallas. There's a few other cheap defenses I like. They're not cheap at all. But I just keep home defense. Like the Bears defense, I ain't keeping in the player pool. But the Lions, I'll keep in there. But I'm building quite a few lineups.
Yeah, you are. All right. Next on the list, we got the New England Patriots heading down to South Florida to take on the Dolphins. This is one that I feel like is almost exactly uh, Vegas has this one pegged, I think. I think you could see a 23-20 type of ball game here. Low total, low team totals. When I get this kind of situation, I like to look at the home team running back. Um, Devon A. Chance checking all the boxes again. The index loves him. He did fine last week. Well, he was having a tough day, but got home with that touchdown at the end of the game in garbage time. Um, I'm okay going back to that well this week. I don't really think I love too much else. I don't want to play Drake May, road underdog. I don't want to play any of the Patriots running backs as road underdogs. I don't want to play Tua because I just don't know if he can do it anymore. The index loves Tyreek Hill. I guess we could maybe make a case for Reek as a one-off, but I'm you know I'm just worried about that too because he didn't exactly look great last week. Um, I just don't love a lot from this game. From a cash standpoint, I'm probably going Achan, and that might be my exposure here. What are you seeing?
I want to fire Achan up in GPPs too. His ownership is
Same.
creeping around 20, but people are going to be a little off from what they did last week. But what I do, so Achan I definitely like. The wide receivers, I'm going to leave them in my pool, like the Hills and the Waddles, and probably Diggs and Booty. But I'm not going to force anything with them. I do like some Hunter Henry tomorrow. It's not like a lock play for me. If I get like 8 to 10%, I'm probably 8% is where I'll probably cap it at. But that Colts team, they've really lit up Miami with that tight end last week. And sometimes there's things that you have to watch in DFS, and it's teams that are really weak against tight end because we need to always find a little value at tight end. Now Hunter Henry is not a huge value at 4,000, but it's somebody I'm going to keep in the player pool and give him a little bump.
When on DraftKings and FanDuel for that matter, the sweet spot for tight end on DK is 3 to 5,000. That's where that salary range is where we find tight end salaries in our winning lineups most times. FanDuel 4 to 6,000. Hunter Henry is safely within that range, and I think that you're right. Warren ate against this Dolphins defense last week, so that maybe bodes well for Hunter Henry. And I think that the Patriots offense, while it did come out a little flat, I still got high hopes for that offensive unit. I think that Drake May will be able to get all these guys the ball. So I just don't know if a trip down south week 2 is going to be the time, but I think Hunter Henry's a good play. And yeah, I think we both love Achan. So just one-offs for you. You're not worried about stacking this game?
No. I mean, there's probably going to be a time when New England's going to look a little bit better as the season goes along, but I don't think this is the time to jump on that.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed. All right. So not a whole lot of love there for that game. All right. So jumping over to the 49ers and Saints. This is one that I think Vegas is having a hard time handicapping. I know that I wish this game was in San Fran. I'd love a lot more pieces on the 49ers if it was. As it stands, the Saints are 3-point underdogs at home to the 49ers, who are starting a backup quarterback. That gives you an idea of how bad everyone thinks the Saints are. So, just off the top of my head, I don't think I like anything on the Saints side, to be honest. From a cash standpoint, from a safe high floor standpoint, I think the obvious play here is Christian McCaffrey. I don't. I just we were talking before the show. As the season goes on, there's going to be this inverse effect between how much Christian McCaffrey is going to cost to put in your lineup and how confident I am that he's healthy. Each week, I think his price is just going to go up. So we're still at a point now where we're getting him cheap. And I think that he had 31 carries last week. I think as long as he's going to touch the ball between 20 and 30 times, excuse me, he didn't have 31 carries. He had 31 touches. But as long as he's going to touch the ball between 20, 30 times and he's under 8,000, Christian McCaffrey is in play. So I think he's an obvious cash game play. And that's all I see obvious from this. So let's hear your GPP thoughts.
I agree with pretty much everything you just said. For stacking wise, there's I'm not messing with either one of these quarterbacks. I agree with Christian McCaffrey. It's scary when you're looking at 31% ownership on him for tomorrow, which means that if I fade him and he busts, I win all the money. But if I fade him and he gets what he normally gets, 24, and then scores a touchdown and gets to 30, then I'm screwed tomorrow. So I'm going to play Christian McCaffrey. I'm not going to play Alvin Kamara tomorrow at all.
Yeah, me either.
I'm just going to wait to see what happens. But I also do like Pearsall, and I like Chris Olave. I think Olave's priced just right. And what I love about Olave, it's a little run back to the Christian McCaffrey. And then one other player I do like in this game is Juwan Johnson. He got peppered with targets last week. This Saints team moved the ball a lot last week. I think they had the most snaps of any team last week. So you could do a little run back with Johnson with McCaffrey in some GPP builds, or you could do Pearsall and Olave, or you could do Pearsall. And I like these four guys in this game. And probably the San Fran defense. I don't typically take defenses on the road, but I'll probably take this one. They're pricey, though, I see now, so maybe I won't get that much of them.
So the Saints, I believe, I don't have the tab up, but when I was just looking at it before the show, while they were not they didn't run the most plays, but they were like third or fourth, and they were over 72 plays, I think. They were like it was like 71 or 72 plays. So yeah, absolutely. Kellen Moore has got this. Spencer Rattler threw the ball or dropped back and attempted 46 passes. So Juwan Johnson, I saw that too. He got peppered with targets. And actually, if we look here, you'll notice on my cheat sheet, I don't know if you can see that on your end, but that's where I left off. I was working on Juwan Johnson. So he's one of my top 5 tight ends that I'm looking at. He's definitely in my player pool. I love him. Alvin Kamara, I was looking at this because I did play him a little bit last week, and his fantasy score wasn't terrible. No. He had a touchdown, but outside of that 18-yard run for a touchdown, he had 10 carries for 27 yards outside of that. So he was not efficient at all. I think we don't need to go to Alvin Kamara this week.
I don't think it's Kamara is dust or bad now. I think the team is just that bad that Kamara is just not going to be able to be functional as a fantasy player with the team being that bad. That's all I'm saying about Kamara.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out a way, because when you see 31% ownership on a guy that you're worried about his health issues, you want to find reasons to not play him. And I have a hard time finding them. And especially if, Mac Jones is going to start, I just feel like, who does Mac have to throw to there other than Ricky Pearsall? I mean, Kittle's hurt. Juwan Jennings I don't even know if he's playing, is he?
He's questionable, but I don't think he's going to play.
Okay, so I think that McCaffrey is going to be an obvious check down security blanket for Max. So
yeah,
I can't plan for McCaffrey to be hurt. You can't play the game that way, I don't think. So you kind of have to say, okay, Everyone else thinks he's fine. I think he's fine. I don't have much reason to doubt it because he touched the ball 31 times last week. So if he's going to be 30% owned, I'm going to probably try to get over the field on him at this price and just hope Mac peppers him with targets all day. I'm just so worried about playing 50% McCaffrey and then seeing him limp off the field in the second quarter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. So I'm really conflicted here.
Well, one thing I do like about this is Pearsall. His ownership is low. He's 5,300. And Mac Jones did start quite a few games last year for Jacksonville. And Brian Thomas Jr. ate during those games. So Mac Jones ain't a horrible quarterback at all. He's a probably career backup at this point. So I do like a lot of Pearsall. I would probably do some kind of rule in my builds where Pearsall and McCaffrey can't be in the same lineup. And then I'll boost Pearsall so I get a little bit more of him than the 6 or 7% that it's showing ownership for.
One thing that's going to happen this week is a lot of people are going to remember, okay, I faded McCaffrey last week and it didn't kill me. But what happened is a lot of people jumped off McCaffrey after that Q tag popped up, and McCaffrey had a great game. What was his DK points? He scored. He was close
26,
to
I think.
Yeah,
and he didn't even score a touchdown.
He did right. So, if he does that again at 31% ownership, and you don't have him, you're not making any money. So
he could score 26 by a halftime and not even play the second half. It'd be worth it.
Yeah. I just think we kind of have to get him in our lineups as much as we can. Yeah. All right. Next game, we have got the Bills traveling to New York. Sorry, I was getting a text. Traveling to New York to face the Jets. And this is a game that I'm sort of interested in from a GPP standpoint because there's some under-owned pieces here. 47.5 point game total. I don't know that I think it's going to go over that. I don't know that I think the Jets are even going to score more than what they're implied here. But I do think that the Jets can keep it close. And I do think that we saw Lamar and these Ravens carve this defense up on the ground last week. I think Fields is capable of doing that. I have some interest in Justin Fields again. From a cash standpoint, I'm probably just looking at maybe Josh Allen, and then maybe Garrett Wilson. But I don't have much on my cash radar here.
So on a GPP, I think there's a lot of interesting ways you can do this.
I agree.
Josh Allen is going to he's looking around 10% ownership, which isn't half bad. With Allen, I would only stack one with him, and that would probably be like Coleman or Kincaid. Definitely going to need the run back. I honestly, the run back is probably just going to be Wilson, maybe a little Breece Hall. But what I love about this game is stacking the Justin Fields side of it. What you do is what I'm probably going to do is just stack Justin Fields with one, Garrett Wilson, and then run it back with a James Cook at 5% ownership and a little bit of Kincaid. Because
Kincaid's paired with Cook.
Yeah, that's how I'm building it out in my models. Because you could honestly get all the touch. If Josh Allen is 10% owned and he just has a typical day, throws a couple touchdowns, hopefully to Kincaid, but then James Cook runs a couple in, then you've gotten all the touchdowns from Buffalo just by stacking Cook and Kincaid. And then you got Justin Fields and Wilson running it back, basically playing catch up the whole game.
Yeah, one of the hard rules that we try to live by in DFS is stay away from home underdog quarterbacks because if you're a home underdog, it usually means your offense is not super efficient. Um, I just, man, week 2, I'm kind of trying to make an exception for this, especially at this ownership, because at this point, we've seen Justin Fields do this over and over again. Like last week didn't surprise me. I heard a lot of people surprised at how well Justin Fields threw the football, how poised he looked running that offense. I was not surprised. I've seen that Justin Fields quite a bit, and we've seen Justin Fields put up numbers where we can take down big, large field GPPs. So when he's 2% owned against a defense that I just saw get carved up on the ground by the Baltimore Ravens, I'm interested at the very least. And we know Justin Fields, when he does throw, he's keyed in on one guy. He's a one read type of guy. I don't even think he can look at a second read. I don't think that's in his skill set. He just takes off after the first read. So, yeah, I mean, I love Garrett Wilson. I love Justin Fields. I love everything he said, man. As usual, we're going to be building a lot of the same lineups.
Now, one thing I do not have faith in is the New York Jets. I mean, the Jets are one of those teams that find new ways to lose, and they find new ways to destroy quarterbacks' careers. So that's why I'm a little hesitant sometimes when I'm picking a Jets quarterback. But I'll do it tomorrow. I like it tomorrow.
Yeah, what I saw from Fields last week was what I think he can be. So I'm my outlook is a little more bullish than most people on Justin Fields. So we didn't really talk about what do you call it? We didn't really talk about Brees Hall too much. I think he's in play. You know what? Let me look at one thing real quick. I don't think I have him on my cheat sheet. I don't. And let's see what the index is saying for him. I mean, home underdog, running back. He's probably not scoring too high. He's there. He's got a 78 on the index, so he's just outside where the top 10 will be. But that ownership, man, 3.5%, 2.81. I mean, he's not. He's going well. Very, very much overlooked. So
I agree.
yeah. All right, cool. So moving on to we even have to talk about this one. The Steelers and Seahawks. Huh?
I was gonna say I said the same thing last week when it was Steelers and Jets. So
Okay, yeah. So I just made this one the highest total of the day, I guess. So 21, just a tad under 22 points for the Steelers, tad under 19 for the Seahawks. What do you see here? Well, hold on. Let me just say that I don't like any of these pieces at all. Maybe JSN, but that's kind of all I'm looking at for cash games, and probably not even him because I don't think his ownership is anywhere near what we would need it to be in cash game consideration. Let me see here. Where is he?
about 11 and a half.
Yeah, I'm not super concerned with that. Okay, what are you seeing?
I don't want to write this game completely off, but I mean the quarterbacks are less than 1% ownership, so I don't think you're going to get beat there. The running backs, not much better. I might need to look into Jaron Warren a little bit because he is pushing like 8% ownership.
You don't want to go there.
Okay, I'm just seeing this like 8% ownership next to his name. I don't know why that's there, and he's priced lower than almost all the other running backs I plan on using this week. So that makes me wonder if something might be there. Wide receivers, JSN, and maybe I'll keep Metcalf in that player pool. But other than that, it's just defenses on both of them, to be honest with you.
I saw the ownership on Jaylen Warren as well, and it made me do a double take, and it made me go and look at Jaylen Warren. And like last week, he outsnapped Kenneth Gainwell barely. Oh, out touched him 11-7. So it was almost a big timeshare there. And with his 11 carries, he got 37 yards. He didn't do shit with them, and he had 2 targets. He brought them both in, 22 yards. He saved his fantasy day with a touchdown. But now the Steelers, what they score 40 points, and Warren was not really much a part of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's an overreaction to his role in this offense. I don't think that ownership seems too high to me. I don't. He's a guy I'll probably just keep out of my player pool, to be honest.
I'm with you. It's just when I'm going through these talking with you and I see somebody sitting at 8% that I wasn't even thinking about, it made me do a double take. Like,
No, for sure,
is
I
there
get
something
that.
here?
Yeah, I had to look at him twice too. I think it's just I think that's all it is. I think people are sort of seeing that score. The game log watchers are looking at that score from last week, and it's fooling a lot of guys. I think that Jalen Warren is not somebody I'm even looking at this week. Let's see what the index says about him. You know, he's cheap, 5,400 on DK.
I don't think
He
you
is
have to
home.
go that low tomorrow.
Right, I don't think so either. He's home, uh, and he's a narrow favorite. He just doesn't have a big total. Um, Index is, yeah, the index is kind of got him middle of the field. That's where I have him. I mean, if he's going to carry the ball 11 times tomorrow, I don't think I want any of that. But I do seeing what Rodgers did last week makes me think that Rodgers and Metcalf could be a thing that's kind of boom or bust all season long. And so maybe you sprinkle a little bit of that in. I don't know, depending on how you feel about the matchup.
I want to stay away.
Yeah, I think I'm staying away too. All right, so here's one where I find myself surprisingly drawn to some of the pieces in this game. We got the Rams heading to Nashville to take on the Titans. The Rams are 5.5 point favorites. 41.5 point game total. Rams are implied for 23.5 of those. Titans get the other 18. From a cash standpoint, the only thing that's really jumping off the page at me is Calvin Ridley and Kyren Williams. And I don't even think Kyren's got a lot of ownership. Let's see. On DK, I show him at oh yeah, he's got like 20% on DK. So he's definitely in the cash game conversation. Calvin Ridley's definitely in the cash game conversation. Those are the two obvious spots. From a GPP standpoint, I think I like some pieces here as well too. I think I not averse to a game stack. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm not going to stack this game at all, but there is some interesting things with this one. First of all, I'm going to start on the back end of this. The Rams defense is probably one of my favorites for tomorrow. When it comes to when it comes to wide receivers, I mean, Puka's one of my favorites. His ownership's at around 16%, but Puka just gets targeted. Calvin Ridley, I'm not as high on him tomorrow as some of this ownership I'm seeing is, but the ownership is dropping. Because last time I checked this, its ownership was around 18, 19%. So it's down to 14 now. I might be a little more interested in that tomorrow. But then the Kyren Williams. This guy, he's looking at 20% ownership. I don't like him as a fantasy player. He gets there. He gets there a lot, unfortunately. But he gets there on touchdowns. He's not going to catch the ball that much. So what I did with him is I just knocked his projection down by 2.5 fantasy points, right? Before I did that, he was hitting in like 30, 40% of my lineups. When I just subtracted 2 fantasy points, he's showing up in 1% of my lineups. So I think he's a good player to take a stand on. And when I say take a stand, I'm lowering his projections, and I'm probably not going to use him tomorrow.
Yeah. I guess the the question is, how do you see this game playing out? Because the Rams are traveling. They're going to be outdoors. For guys like Puka, Devontae, Stafford, that whole offense, I think it does something, sort of takes a little shine off the offense when you get them outside in the environment, out of the track meet environment. But if they're gonna if they're gonna be playing with the lead in this game, I just think that there's Kyren's the guy they're gonna just keep handing the ball to. And you're right. He outside of touchdowns, he's not getting there because I think he had 18 carries last week, 65, 67 yards. Like, so if he's not very efficient, he's averaging under 4 a carry. If he doesn't fall in the end zone, he's not paying off, but he's probably going to fall in the end zone. And his price went down from last week. I liked him last week. I think this is a better game for him. So cash game, he's probably a lock in my lineups, especially if his ownership stays around 20%. I don't know. I think you're right about taking a stand on him in GPPs because I think if he doesn't score a touchdown, your lineup's cooked because he's going to get 7, 8 points. And you got to do better than that. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do here. I feel like I'm with you on maybe, especially at that ownership. If Kyren's going to be somewhere around 25% owned tomorrow, I might fade him. It's just hard for me to do it with a big favorites on the road. I just feel like he's going to score. So that's tough.
And we did miss one thing here. Tony Pollard is projecting at about 15% ownership.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that, to be honest with you.
I think I'm fading that. To be honest with you, I feel the way you feel about Kyren tomorrow about Tony Pollard. Let me see here. Let me pull up, because last week he had a lot of touches last week. That surprised me.
Yeah, and on the road against the Denver defense, but I think this Rams defense might be a little bit better than that Denver defense.
I think so too. Now, when you look at what he did, 18 carries, 60 yards. He didn't score, and he only had 1 reception. Now that was a 30-yard reception. He's Kyren Williams for the Titans. He's not efficient. He gets a lot of carries. He needs touchdowns. Tony is a guy as a home underdog with that kind of ownership. In GPPs, I'm probably just not even putting him in my player pool, to be honest. And it's crazy to say that because I think I put him on the cheat sheet. I did. So tomorrow this may change for me. I don't know that I'm going to keep him. He's in the cash game conversation just because of that ownership and that volume. But man, he seems like a clear fade candidate for GPPs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you were to knock his ownership in half, then maybe I'd be interested.
Yeah,
but no, I'm not. I'm not going to be interested in Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I don't think I am.
I mean, Chris, honestly, like if I'm sitting here tomorrow afternoon at 7:30 and I lost the entire day because I didn't start Tony Pollard, I can go to sleep fine.
I'll sleep fine too, because that's going to happen like once in a generation. So
no, it's going to happen about once every 3 or 4 weeks when you play GPPs. But I will be more pissed at myself if I play 20% Tony Pollard and he gets me 8.
Yeah, that's that's how I felt about Chase Brown last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was mad because I don't want to go back to last week, but God damn it, I was full fucking tilt going into the Sunday night game last week. I think I pulled all my crowns on DK together to play some damn to play some Sunday night football.
Dude, change job.
I was in rough shape Sunday night, dude. Not just that, I had this awful fucking sinus infection. I'm yelling at everybody. Like, it was fucking week 1 was God fucking terrible for me, man. Anyway, so we're on the final stretch here. We are into the 4:00 games. Let's talk a little bit about this potential stinker. The Panthers traveling out west to take on the Arizona Cardinals. This game's got a 44.5-point game total. The Cardinals are getting 25.5 of those. I think that James Conner's in play here. And I also have some love for Kyler Murray. And I've missed playing him, so I'm glad we're back to that. He's in play, in my opinion, for GPPs this week. What do you think?
There's a lot to look at here. Like I everything on paper tells me I should be stacking up this game. The Panthers defense is horrible. The only problem is Arizona does this shit to me once every 3 or 4 weeks during the season. I can't do Kyler Murray. I'm sorry. I mean, 6,400. If he was like 58, maybe I'd start to think about it. I like James Conner tomorrow, and you could tag him with a little bit of Trey McBride. That's another one of those running back tight ends I like. But Trey Benson ate into a lot of his carries last week. So that scares the hell out of me there. The two things I do like that, and one of them has lower ownership, is Marvin Harris Jr. Like he got targeted quite a bit last week. And we're looking at 5% ownership, 5,800. There's a lot of wide receivers you're going to see when you're building out lineups and GPPs tomorrow, where it's going to fill in a lot of these probably like $5,200 to $6,000 wide receivers. And Marvin Harrison could be that pivot to get off of some of those more chalkier ones. And then McMillan, I like him as well. But I'm not going to game stack it. Murray made my list on Thursday when I was building out my quarterbacks, but the list just kept getting longer and longer. So he was one that I had to sacrifice.
Yeah, I feel you. It's a little his price is a little high. And I think it even went up from last week. Let's see.
It's like Groundhog's Day here, Chris. Like Kyler Murray. I mean, he's going up against the worst defense in NFL that's ranked 31st against the quarterback. They're ranked 32nd against the running back. They're ranked 32nd against the wide receiver. They're ranked 25th against the tight end. I mean, it screams they're about to get.
Wait, that was the real Panthers numbers?
Yeah.
That makes me feel even better. You know what I mean?
But I'm saying this is the Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I've lost way more than I've won with Kyler Murray at quarterback, and I think the Cardinals could say the same thing. So I don't love the Kyler Murray. He's in my player pool.
And he checks all the boxes.
He does check all the boxes. I will say that the index loves him, and that's good enough reason for me to have him in my player pool. Now,
I hope he does great tomorrow.
you mentioned Trey Benson and this potential eating into James Conner's work. It's important to note Conner did have 12 carries, 4 catches, so he still had 16 touches last week. In a tight game against the Saints. You're right. I was a little surprised that he wasn't more efficient with the touches. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a Cardinals offensive line thing, if that's a James Conner thing.
I think it was about. I think when I was looking it up earlier, it was like a 65-35 split last week. Connor and Trey. I'm just worried that's going to creep more towards 60-40.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then 55-45.
and at his price, 6,600 on DK, we can't afford him to be giving up 40% of the carries. Yeah. So, from a GPP standpoint, now his ownership's high enough where I think he can still be in cash game consideration. No, his ownership's low.
His ownership's low.
Yeah,
he's going to be in my player pool tomorrow.
Yeah, he's not cash viable for me at this point.
It just scares me a little bit, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, on the Panthers side, I don't really love much either. I just this is not a game I think that goes over. I think the Cardinals probably just uh chew some clock up late in the third quarter to the end of this game, and maybe that makes James Conner get there. I don't know.
I'll
So
start Connor tomorrow. I'm just saying it scares me a little bit. So I was just kind of anybody
yeah,
listening to this, I'm just kind of warning
yeah,
is all.
yeah, no, for sure. I'm with you. I'm scared every time I start James Conner because he's not super efficient, and that Cardinals team is not very good. Um, okay, so next we have a game that I think is projected all sorts of wrong. Um, and I'm not a Colts fan, and I grew up hating your team, Steve. So, uh, but I gotta say it, dude. This game's got a 43.5 point game total. The Colts are projected for 20. Man, the Broncos are projected for 23. I don't think the Colts should be underdogs in this matchup. I think this is wrong. I think everybody's sort of underselling what Daniel Jones can be for this offense. I think this is. I think the Colts have a chance to be very competent on offense with Daniel Jones under center. I think they. I think he can carry this offense. Him and Jonathan Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor tomorrow, even though he's a home underdog. And I haven't looked at the ownership in a hot minute. Let's see.
About 14.
Yeah, it's a little higher than I wish it was. I guess I'm probably not, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, they're not obvious plays to me. There's nothing on the Denver side that's super obvious to me either. I have some game stack ideas here. I think this game goes over. I think that I think this could be the Jets Steelers last week. That's my feel.
I'm not going to game stack this one only for a couple of reasons, but but before I get to that, I think you can mess with these Denver running backs a little bit. I think they're priced low enough, and their ownership is nothing. And now I say running backs because you're going to have to decide is it going to be Dobbins or Harvey? I don't know yet. So I put a rule where they both can't be in the same lineup. Wide receivers, it's like Sutton, and maybe a little Pittman. That's really about it. I like the tight ends here. I like Warren and Ingram, and then I like both both defenses. The problem with game stacking this for me is I think Bo Nix is priced a little too high to game stack because at 6,100, he's almost going to have to get 30 on the road. So, and then I pivoted at Daniel Jones last week and it made me a lot of money. I'm going to try to save some of that money and I'm probably not going to stack him this week.
Give it all fucking back. Yeah, I probably won't. The index is telling us not to play any of the Colts because they're home underdogs. So that's the safe bet is to kind of stay away from that side in GPPs. But their ownership is low enough. I think well, no, like I just said, Taylor's creeping up there now. So that surprises me. It surprises me to see almost 15% on Jonathan Taylor as a home underdog. That's why I feel like this game goes over, and I feel like the Colts should not be underdogs. Let me ask you this question: if the Colts had a 24-point total right now and they were favored, would you be talking about playing Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor?
I'd probably lean a little more. I'd lean towards Taylor. I think what we're seeing here with these ownerships on some of these running backs is they're all priced about the exact same, right
Yeah.
around that 65 to 7,000 mark. And it goes back to what I was saying when we first started, that sometimes we have to figure out how people are building their lineups tomorrow, and we have to attack them that way. And I think they're going to use a lot of these cheap wide receivers, which they should, and I'm going to also. They're going to use a lot of these running backs, a bunch of different combinations. of Jonathan Taylor, of Achan, all these 6,500 to 7,000 running backs. And then they're going for Lamar. They're going for Josh Allen. They're going for Burrow. They're going for Hurts. I think that's where we get different, is at those quarterback positions tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, the data tells us you don't take down tournaments playing $8,000 quarterbacks on DK. And so
now we don't have any that high yet, but your point's still right.
Yeah, I don't think that. What's Josh Allen? Let me check this out.
Yeah, he's probably 71, 72.
71, Lamar 7. Yeah, I don't know. They're not uncomfortably priced for me.
No,
it's not a price thing. I think with Lamar, it's it's a combination of 7,000 plus a 12-point favorite there, and Josh Allen, kind of the same thing. I mean, does he have to? Is he going to have to score 35 points? So yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm probably not going to prioritize spending up at quarterback. If anything, I like Burrow, but okay, we're getting back in the weeds here. But I agree with you.
But that's why we're getting this ownership on Taylor. We're getting this ownership on all these, like, what was it, Tony Pollard, Williams. All their ownership is kind of about the same spot, which tells me something about this next game that when we get to it is where I'm going to plant my flag tomorrow.
Yeah. You can go ahead and tell us why you're going to play.
Oh, no. We'll wait till we get to it.
Well, we're there. So we're at we're in Arrowhead. We got the Eagles coming into town as favorites. I mean, when's the last time the Chiefs were fucking underdogs in Arrowhead? That's crazy. But here we are, and this is the world that the Chiefs live in now, with Rashee Rice not banged up. He's on suspension. Xavier Worthy was taken out by Travis Kelce. And we have Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. But still Pat Mahomes. So I feel like this game, everybody's kind of sleeping on the Chiefs again. I just think they win tomorrow. I think this game probably goes over, and I think that it's a nice little shootout. So there's not a lot of cash love for me here, though. I think that Jalen Hurts I think I put him in my top 5. Let's see. I did not, so that's okay. The index loves him, actually. I think he's it's okay. The index is kind of indifferent toward him. I do like him tomorrow. I don't know. His ownership's not out of control. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing really standing out to me from a cash standpoint here. Maybe Saquon Barkley, but I don't think his ownership's very high either.
So what I would say, if you're asking about cash real quick, Hollywood Brown will be in every cash lineup tomorrow. He's 5,200. He's projecting around 20%, which in cash means 40 to 50%. He fits into that build that I've been talking about. Low price wide receivers, mid price running backs. So with that said, that's why, Saquon's not checking a whole lot of boxes for tomorrow. He is on the road. They are favored on the road, but I'm looking at like 9% ownership for Saquon, and everybody's spending around 6,500 to 7,000 on their running backs tomorrow. I want to use some of those running backs, but I want to pay down at quarterback. That's why I like the Williams, the Fields, these kind of quarterbacks tomorrow, and spend up on a Saquon, because I think Saquon's to play on DraftKings for GPPs. Like I think Henry, now the ownership's there for Henry on FanDuel, but the same kind of over there. Henry's to play on FanDuel, Saquon's to play on DraftKings tomorrow.
So
I want to force 30% ownership on Saquon tomorrow.
I was just looking at this. I'm on DK. The most updated numbers I have, he's almost 20% owned. On my
you talking about Hollywood?
Yeah, Hollywood. In the research station here, I don't. It was a couple days ago. I'm using the old. These ownerships came in like Thursday, so he's not quite that. He was like around 12%. So I didn't see that, but at 20% owned, he's definitely. You're right. He'll be um, 40-50% owned in cash games, and that makes sense. He's the only. Him and
Target.
Kelsey are going to be the only targets in town there. Probably no one's. I don't want to imagine anybody's going to play Juju. Um, yeah, I think you're right, man. I think there's a lot of potential for Saquon to maybe break the slate for you. The only thing, dude, is man, he's got to. We need 35, 40 points from him, don't we?
Yeah, I would say that.
So that's 150, 2 touchdowns, and some receptions. He could definitely do that. He could do it. He could do it. Man, it's just this is tough on the road against the Chiefs and
What's that team total?
who the Eagles team total?
Yeah.
24 and a quarter. So he's gonna account for at least 2 of those scores, which that doesn't make sense. He gets 2, Jalen Hurts gets the other one.
And then if it turns into the shootout like you're hoping for, Hurts has 2 of them, Saquon has 2 of them. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that it will turn into a shootout. I mean, it I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough game, dude. That's a tough one. I don't know how to feel about that game, mostly just because I don't really know what the Chiefs are. You know, I just don't know what they are. Because I don't know that we've seen them so depleted. Um, I don't know.
Now, I will say if you're going to stack Hurts tomorrow, which I have no problem with, I may do it myself. I think Devontae Smith is the one person you stack him with. Because whenever Dallas Goedert's off the field, it seems like Devontae Smith's targets go up significantly compared to A.J. Brown's.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that. You don't see that Calcantara necessarily steps up and just gets all of Goddard's targets here, right?
No, I
You're
don't
not
think it's going to
rushing
work like
to jam
that.
him in. Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, he's 2,500. You can start him tomorrow. I've thought about starting him a few times and just taking the 0 from him because he's $2,500, and it just allows you to do anything after that. And then if you just
defenses,
absolutely, he's cheaper than most defenses. What he's
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And then if he just trips and falls and catches a fucking a tap. What am I trying to think of here? A tip ball at the line of scrimmage on the goal line, and he just falls over and grabs a tip ball, then you win all the money tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think Calcaterra is probably going to be in consideration for me for a cash game punt tight end. Sort of what I usually do, try to do in cash games is just spend way down at tight end if I can. So yeah. Outside of that, I'm with you. Hollywood Brown, now that I see he's going to be 20% owned, he's probably in the cash game conversation. Yeah, I like Saquon tomorrow too. I mean, to be honest, I like Saquon in any given matchup. For me, when I decide how I'm going to use Saquon, it's just ownership and price, really, because there's no matchup I'm afraid of for him because he's matchup proof. I just wasn't. How many carries did he have last week? I felt like it was low.
Now,
Not
this
one. Yeah, he touched the ball 22 times last week. So
how many targets?
He had 4 he had 5 targets.
Now, don't get me wrong when I say this about the Saquon play. Like he's not checking a whole lot of boxes in the matchup tomorrow. I'm mainly attacking this for the ownership and because it's Saquon Barkley, and I have to force him into lineups. If I just run my optimizers and stuff like that, he doesn't show up, but in like 8% of lineups. So I'm literally forcing him into 30% of my lineups. So it's probably going to bite me in the ass.
How many? It just dawned on me. Saquon had 5 targets last week. What did AJ Brown have? What did Devontae Smith have?
You got. I'm going to guess close to the same amount of targets. I don't know. Are you asking, or do you know the answer?
Yeah,
already?
well, I was asking because I didn't know the answer, but I want to try to find it real quick. Because all I have is
Saquon's ownership has actually gone down since I ran these about 3 hours ago. He was at like 9.5 3 hours ago, and now he's dropped down to like 8.5.
So AJ Brown had last week's not a good example. He had only 1 target, but your boy Devontae, how many did he have? Because I mean, if Saquon's like the number one, yeah, I mean Saquon's the number 1 target this year too. Because Devontae only had 3, so I mean Saquon was heavily involved, the most involved pass catcher and running back for the Eagles last week. So it's really just Hurts and Barkley show there. Is there any argument to playing both of them in the same lineup?
You could definitely do it.
Yeah.
It'd be a little unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're getting all the points.
I think the only way it hurts you is probably from the the tush pushes, because those should technically be Saquon's touchdowns right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing. I'm not saying that's the reason not to do it. I'm just saying that's something you have to keep in the back of your mind, because Jalen Hurts is still only 6,800, so he's cheaper than the running back on his team.
Yeah, and at 68, I almost don't want to play him.
Yeah, because he's going to need to get about 35 probably in a GPP, and then you're going to need 40 from Saquon in a GPP with those 2 prices combined. So combined, they're going to have 4 touchdowns, and if Hurts is throwing them to Saquon, that's only worth 4 points.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, there's probably not a great. It's a thin play to put them both in the same lineup,
and it's only because of their price, like combined.
Yeah. If Saquon was 7,000 and Hurts was closer to 6, maybe there's something.
See, when you're looking at like Gibbs at 7,400, and you're looking at Goff at 6,000, so that's 800 less on the quarterback, and on the running back it's 600 less. So that combo is less money. I'm just trying to make a comparisons with different quarterbacks that I might be matching up with their running backs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got through the slate, man. Let's before we break, let's take a moment to. I want you to give me your top 2 favorite games to target for game stacks tomorrow, and I'll pick my 2. Go.
For game stacks, I like this Bears and Lions game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna probably have to say the Bills and Jets.
Okay.
And that's because I'm factoring in ownership when I'm saying this, because obviously the Bengals and Jags is much higher. You know what I mean? But I think the ownership's going to be there on that game.
I think for me, I like I think I obviously like this Bengals Jaguars game. That's probably my number one game stack environment. And I really want to like this Cowboys Giants game. Um, I just wish I had a little more confidence in the Giants.
Yeah,
Um,
you need the Giants to push the Cowboys.
yeah, I just wish I had confidence that they would. So I guess my second favorite game to attack is maybe going to be this Colts Broncos game. I think I'm kind of liking that. Yeah. I'm liking that to go over. Let's just say I'm liking that to go over. The other two spots that you picked are my other two favorite game stack spots. So uh after those top three, it kind of goes down a good bit there. The Bills Jets is probably my second favorite game stack spot, but for the sake of being different, I like the Colts Broncos, and I like it to go over. I think we're looking at a Colts win. I think they score closer to 30 points tomorrow. So,
What? You got me thinking on something here, real quick. So
okay.
we've been very successful in years past doing this, and
Mm-hmm.
this Colts Broncos game is the one to do this with. All right, what I'm about to say. So 1 o'clock games are into the third quarter, and you are dead on a lot of these lineups.
Yeah.
Anything that you have in 4 o'clock that's attached to this Eagles and Kansas City game, you pull it out and you switch it to this Denver Colts game because the ownership is going to be in the Eagles Kansas City game. And you can try to save some of your lineups with this Colts for late swap, the Colts and Broncos stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I've had a lot
Now,
of success moving off of the popular game in the late slate.
now it takes a lot of work in a short period of time to get it to work out right. But I mean, I remember last year, I think you had like quite a few dead around the third quarter, and you spent the time doing it, and you ended up cashing like most of your stuff that day doing something like that. But
Yeah, I
it's a
mean, you
lot of
can.
work.
Yeah, if you play 150 lineups, and so for people listening, there's two ways to do it. If you've hand built one lineup tomorrow and you plugged it into 10 cash games and one GPP, pretty simple. You look at your 4 o'clock games, and if what are the 4 o'clock games again? We've got the Chiefs, Eagles, Cardinals, Panthers, and Colts, Broncos. So if you have anything in that late 4 o'clock slate, um, the popular game is going to be the Chiefs, Eagles. So if you got anything in that game, move it off to the Broncos, Colts,
If you're,
probably.
yeah,
Yeah,
if you're running debt after
yeah.
when the one
If you,
o'clock games
yeah,
are,
yeah. And what do we mean by running dead? Well, when you look at your lineup, if
and
you,
you started
you
CMC and he blew his leg out.
right, you
I'm
look at your
sorry.
lineup and you know what, like, oh, I have a pretty chalky quarterback, I have a pretty chalky running back, I have a pretty chalky wide receiver, and you look and those guys all sort of went dead in the water, and then the one piece that you had that was different from those guys also went dead in the water. You can kind of look at that and say, oh, okay, I'm playing catch up because the one low owned piece I have didn't do well, so everybody's ahead of me there. And so you look at that and you go, okay, it's time for me to try to. The only way I can catch them is if I'm super different in the 4 o'clock slate. How do I get different? I got to get off of these high owned plays and move them to a lower owned play. And you're right. I think the Colts Denver Broncos game tomorrow is the way to do that. Now, if you play 150 lineups of these mass multi-entry GPPs, the way to do that, and you already know how to do it. You go with your lineup optimizer. Whoever you use for a lineup optimizer, they should have a late swap option. You just download the CSV and put it back into the optimizer, um, and then you make the changes there. But some people are going to wonder what we mean by late swap. That's all we meant.
And you can do it in your cash games too. So If you're
that's
dead,
what I said first.
Oh, my bad. I thought you talked about single. I was gonna say So like Hollywood's gonna be in everybody's cash game. If you're dead in the water after the 1 o'clock games are almost over, you just switch Hollywood to Pittman is what you do.
Yep, absolutely.
Because Hollywood's going to be 40 to 50% owned, Pittman's going to be 10% owned, and you're just hoping that Hollywood puts up a 2 and Pittman puts up a 30, which it's not going to happen. But if it does, you should be back in the money.
And that segues to one final thing, and then we'll sign off. When we're talking about late swap and building flexibility into your lineup, because I see it so often.
Don't say it.
Please.
Just let them keep doing it. Just let them.
Okay, never mind then. All right,
no, you can
do
it.
Let them keep doing
it. You can do it.
Nah, I'm here to help. I'm here to help my people, man. All right. Look, if you're gonna play DFS the right way, it makes 0 sense to let your flex position be occupied by one, an early slate player, and 2, the cheapest guy in your lineup. And 3, don't ever let it be those 2 things combined. Try to, if you have all 1 o'clock games, well, there's really, you might as well put whatever you want in the flex. But if you have players playing at 4 o'clock, make sure if you have a 4 o'clock running back, he's in the flex, especially if he's one of your highest owned pieces, because that's how you build flexibility in. You don't necessarily need to build your lineup for that, but there are times when you should. And this weekend is one of those I'd consider that, because that 425 Chiefs Eagles game is going to be highly owned. So if you do take a Saquon Barkley, make sure you play him in your flex. Okay, that's all I'll say, because then you have $8,000 to play with that 425. Because the other side of late swap, you don't just necessarily make a move if you're behind. If you're in a 10-man room and second place is 10 points behind you, and you have Saquon Barkley and he's got Hollywood Brown, well, then it makes all the sense in the world for you to jump off of Saquon Barkley and play Hollywood Brown. Because worst case scenario for you, Saquon Barkley blows his leg out, and then
how do we know? How do we know he has Hollywood Brown, Chris? Remember, you got to explain that part too.
Well, when you
got to do the math. You got to do the math.
Flip over those lineups, do the math. Your DK roster has to be $50,000. And if you see he has $44,200 chewed up and there's a flex left to go, oh, he's playing a $5,800 player, so must be Hollywood Brown. There's no point, even though Saquon Barkley's probably the better play. If you're 10 points up on a guy and you have Saquon and he has Hollywood, you can guarantee yourself the victory by moving off of Saquon and playing Hollywood Brown. And I know it's going to look crazy because you're going to have $2,000 left over on your roster, but that is the only way to guarantee yourself a victory. Because if Saquon goes out in the first quarter and Hollywood Brown scores 12 points, you just lost. So that's how you also play for the win to block a guy. So always be thinking of it both ways. And that's why you leave your flex flexible, aptly named.
Yeah.
So many guys will start the fucking 1 o'clock guy for $8,500 in their flex. And it's just like, and then a $4,200 backup running back, and that played at 4 o'clock in their RB1 spot. And you're just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But I don't get mad. I count the money. It's nice. But, like, it's tough when you get beat by that guy, though, isn't it? I hate losing to that guy.
No, what's tough, Chris? Why I get so mad about, because we've been playing DFS for well over a decade now, is when a buddy of mine will say, "Hey, how's this lineup look?" And I'm like, "It looks good, but you know what? You need to put your 4 o'clock guy in the flex." Well, what's that matter? And then you've just heard it so many times in a decade. Why does that even matter? I just get tired explaining to people is all. I mean, I've literally had guys in my flex, and it was, I don't know, 358, and it comes across on X or Twitter, whatever, that so-and-so who was in my flex position hurt himself while warming up for the game at 358. And I had all the time in the world to change it because he was in my flex. Where people who have them in another position, now you only have the option for that position and that price only.
Yep.
So that's my thing with it. I just get, how's my lineup look? Well, what's that matter? It just gets annoying.
And that does. You're right.
But,
you're right.
And somebody's still going to write on the comments, oh, I don't think that makes that big of a deal. Well, let's play some head-to-heads.
Yeah, definitely. Find me on DK. Let's go. Actually, don't find me on DK. I'm fucking running cold in those head-to-heads. Just y'all quit picking on me. Leave me the fuck alone.
I scored less than you on my cash lineup last week, and I cashed almost all my head-to-heads.
Yeah, dude.
It makes no sense.
I'm gonna quit my DK account, sign up under a different email, and so I can play the beginner rooms again because I'm getting aggravated. Thank God baseball's still happening, or I'd be broke.
Oh, it all come together. I'm losing money on college football today, so it happens.
Yeah. Heck yeah. All right, cool. Well, I think that'll do it for us, man. I'm going to go live on Instagram tomorrow around 11:30 when inactives come out. Just for anybody watching, kind of discuss any significant fantasy implications. There's usually nothing too crazy, but what are we waiting on? Any kind of news? Are we expecting anything tomorrow, injury wise, Steve, that I missed?
I mean, there is some injury news out there that you're waiting on. It's nothing too crazy,
right?
If you give me a split half a second, I actually had a list pulled up and then I put it down.
Yeah, let's check it out.
It's stupid stuff like Juwan Jennings. Got to watch out for that one because if he's completely out, it goes to the targets that we were talking about. We already know Dallas Goedert's out. Isaiah Likely's out tomorrow. We didn't talk about Mark Andrews, but I'm not really talking about Mark Andrews in life right now. Will Shipley's out. That's why they got Tank Bigsby in the trade, but I don't think Bigsby's going to be up to speed to play after 4 days. You got Blue out for the Cowboys. They're just this guy hasn't been activated at all, which goes back to your Williams play. And then you also have Christian Kirk out, but I don't think that's really going to mess with too much. And then guys like Brock Bowers and Mooney, they're not on the main slate, so we're not even going to worry about them.
So, but Brock Bowers is expected to play for anybody wondering. I just got
did you? Okay.
Yeah. The Jadon Blue thing trips me out. I think so many people are expecting him to pass Javonte Williams like with a quickness here. Javonte's
I took a lot of blue in best ball.
Well, yeah, I mean, so did I, but he's not even been activated to play in a game yet. So it's just kind of like, damn it, dude.
Like, what the fuck?
But Miles Sanders is fucking hot trash. So I don't.
It's the Williams show.
Yeah, makes me like Javonte a lot. Makes me like Javonte a lot tomorrow. He might be my flag plant. Anyway, all right, cool. Well, that'll do it for us. We ran a little long. Thank you for everybody or anybody that's still here. That's it, man. Hope to see y'all at the top of the leaderboard. I will see y'all live on IG around 11:30 for inactives. Peace.
Later.